In this video, I will rank every 2025 NFL playoff game. At number 13, you have the 49ers Seahawks game in the divisional round. Seattle dominated this game from start to finish. For neutral fans, this game was absolutely boring. This was by far the worst game of the playoffs. At number 12, you have the Texans Steelers game in the wildcard round. This was a competitive game up until early in the fourth quarter. Houston's defense dismantled the Steelers' offense. However, C.J. Stroud kept on trying to give the game away. Eventually, the Texans would break the game open in the fourth quarter on a couple of defensive touchdowns. It really felt like the Steelers' offense had no chance in this game. At number 11, you have the Chargers-Patriots game in the wildcard round. This was another competitive game up until the fourth quarter. Both defenses were playing at a high level. However, the Chargers' offense looked worse, and they could not block anything for Herbert. Once the Patriots scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter, the game was over. I put this game over the Texans-Steelers game because it looked closer on the scoreboard. At number 10, you have the Texans-Patriots game in the divisional round. This was an ugly, turnover-filled game for both teams. The defenses for both teams played great. While the Patriots' offense wasn't good, C.J. Stroud and the Texans made far too many mistakes. It is hard to overcome 5 turnovers. The game was competitive early into the fourth quarter. Once New England scored a touchdown, they were able to control the game with their offense. Personally, I think that this game was far more entertaining than the Texans-Steelers and Chargers-Patriots wildcard games because of the turnovers. At number 9, you have the Seahawks versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Seattle had control for most of this game. Their defense dominated New England's offensive line. There was a brief moment in the fourth quarter where it felt like the Patriots had some momentum and could make a comeback down 19-7. However, May would turn the ball over on 2 consecutive drives to seal the game for Seattle. The fact that there was a slight chance of a New England comeback puts this game over the semi-competitive games from number 12 to 10. At number 8, you have the Patriots versus the Broncos in the AFC Championship game. Both defenses played well, but Denver made way too many mistakes. They made the questionable decision to go for it on fourth down, lost a fumble, and missed 2 field goals. The weather in the second half significantly impacted the game and halted both offenses. At number 7, you have the Rams versus the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. From the outset, this seems to be a shocker. The game was competitive and entertaining throughout. The reason why this game isn't ranked higher is because there was no scoring nor any lead changes during the fourth quarter of the game. It made for an anticlimactic finish. At number 6, you have the 49ers-Eagles wildcard game. It was a defensive game for 3 quarters. San Francisco was able to get 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to pull off the upset. There were lead changes throughout the fourth quarter, but once the 49ers scored the last touchdown, the game was going to be over given the Eagles' offensive dysfunction. At number 5, you have the Bills-Jaguars wildcard game. This was a close, competitive game throughout, which was expected. Neither team was able to pull away. The fourth quarter saw 4 touchdowns and 4 lead changes. It was a great finish, and the Bills' defense made a play at the end to advance to the divisional round. At number 4, you have the Rams-Panthers wildcard game. LA would get out to a 14-0 lead, and it looked like it was going to be a blowout. Carolina was able to fight back, and eventually they took a 24-20 lead in the fourth quarter. Then the game went back and forth. Ultimately, the Rams were able to score a last-minute touchdown to advance to the divisional round. In my opinion, this game ranks above the Bills-Jaguars game because this was expected to be a blowout. The Rams were 10.5-point favorites heading into this game. Therefore, this game exceeded people's expectations more than the other game. At number 3, you have the Packers-Bears wildcard game. The Packers led 21-6 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. However, Chicago made a furious comeback to win the game 31-27. They scored 25 points in the fourth quarter. It was a crazy ending that came down to the final play. At number 2, you have the Rams-Bears game in the divisional round. It was a normal competitive battle throughout most of the game. The Rams would have a 17-10 lead with 24 seconds left. Caleb Williams would make an acrobatic touchdown throw, and the game would be tied 17-17. It was going to be another epic finish. In overtime, LA would get the ball and punt. Chicago looked like they were going to win, however, Williams would throw his 3rd pick of the game. The Rams would kick the game-winning field goal to win 20-17. At number 1, you have the Bills-Broncos game in the divisional round. Denver looked like they were controlling the game by halftime with a 20-10 lead. However, Buffalo was able to come back and take a 24-23 lead in the fourth quarter. The Broncos would then score a go-ahead touchdown late in the fourth quarter to take a 30-27 lead. The Bills would come back and tie the game at 30 by the end of regulation. In overtime, the Broncos would get the ball first and punt it away. Josh Allen would then throw a controversial interception. Denver would drive down and kick the game-winning field goal. This was the best game of the playoffs because of the back-and-forth nature and the fact that it went into overtime. It was hard to tell who was going to win the game.